This week we also finished listening to Most Intriguing Lady by Sarah Ferguson. So this is a historical romance. It is a second. The first one follows Lady Mary's older sister. I didn't realize that, of course, until I started listening to it. Either way, I wasn't about to stop anyway. So I listened to A Most Intriguing Lady, and the interesting part of this book I found is that the characters of the story were actual real life characters, or real life people, not characters, but real life people in Victorian London, which was really cool. Now, the story itself is, of course, made up because we don't know the stories of these people and what they did. They know what they did for a living, but they don't know the ins and outs of their lives day to day. It's not very possible. There's not a whole lot of journal. There are some. They did a lot of research. There's the word. They did a lot of research trying to look into the lives of the characters so they can use as much of those in the story itself. But they do say that the story is made up. Yes, the people were real people, but the story is made up. So the story starts out with Lady Mary, who is the youngest daughter of the Duke and Duchess of, and I'm going to forget how to say it. And I know looking at my notes is not going to help because it's not. Buccleuch. The Duke and Duchess of the Buccleuch, I think is how it's pronounced. Lady Sarah Ferguson does, I don't think she reads the book, but she does do an interview in it. So, but the person that they have reading the book, it has a British accent. So I feel like I'm going to say everything wrong, and I'm sorry about that. So you have Lady Mary, and she, I want to say is like, I want to say 14, 15, 16 when we first meet her in the story at her parents' party. And you actually don't meet through her eyes first. You actually meet through Colonel Walter Trefuses, or Trey is the name that Mary ends up giving him. And he leaves the party, which you're not supposed to do, but he has a very bad headache, so he goes out to get some air, and he sees Mary walking across the parapet of the castle. And, oh my God! So, luckily she's fine. But, that scares her. So then he tries to, meet her during the dancing and figure out what's going on. And then ultimately they end up having to solve a mystery. One of the guests loses a brooch that they then have to find, and not just find, but find a good solution to the problem that has happened. Because back in Victorian times, to my understanding, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of ways that you have to go about solving problems in a proper manner, so that way important people are not embarrassed. So they find that, they solve that, and Trey ends up having he calls it his curse. He gets very bad headaches. Now, he was a colonel in the war, so it's very likely it was PTSD. So because he ends up having basically like an attack, he decides to walk away. Even though you can kind of tell there's a little bit of some chemistry, a little bit of a blooming romance happening, but he decides to walk away because of his curse. And so they're like, we're never going to see each other again. A couple years later, they connect back up at a different dinner party where, again, she is trying to solve a problem for the hostess, and he gets kind of wrapped up in it, trying to help her. And this time she pushes him away because she's like, no, I don't want to be married. But she's going off of the marriage that her parents had, not a marriage that she wants. But again, because it's Victorian England, lots of propriety, lots of rules, regulations on what marriage looks like, things like that. Then they end up meeting a third time. And this time they kind of decide, okay, we're going to actually try to figure out to see if this would work for us. Now, at the same time, Colonel Trefuses needs Mary's help this time. So it was good. I really did enjoy it. I would definitely suggest give it a listen to. I don't think they do reference what happened to her older sister a couple times in Mary's book. So I do think it would be good to read or listen to it, but I don't think it's quite necessary to read or listen to it first. But overall, I really enjoyed it. She has apparently wrote a lot of books, more children's books, but I do think I would enjoy going and reading some more of what she wrote. So that is my review. Happy reading.